everyone, welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Ghadi Francis, and over the next half hour I will get you our weekly show where we bring you all the latest updates, stories and news from the region that I call home, West Asia. Well, this week it is sad news all over West Asia. The region has been shaken by a deadly earthquake. A 7.8 magnitude earthquake jolted Turkey and Syria on Monday, leaving over 20,000 people dead in this tragedy. Homes were lost, families gone, infrastructure turning into rubble. The faces of the people in this area have lost all hope as they watch their loved ones die in front of their eyes. In the coming minutes, we will bring you the human side of nature's fury. How natural disasters upturn lives in mere seconds. Let's take a look.
Precious hours have turned into tense days. As the clock turns, Turkiye and Syria's rescue operations into a recovery mission. With every passing hour, hopes of pulling out someone's child, spouse or parent alive have been receding. And as family members see the massive operation at play, their faces tell an awful truth. Only a miracle can reunite them with their loved ones. The 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit the border region between Turkey and Syria on Monday. The area, home to more than 13.5 million people, is now overwhelmed with the rubble of collapsed buildings, overflowing morgues, and bodies wrapped in blue and white tarps.
Well, what I'm gonna hear here in the area, there's some people is at the moment still in alive, and we hope we can find people which is still alive. Yeah, but every hours is for us so hard.
This is Ibrahim Khalil Menkaween. He is an earthquake survivor who was fortunately rescued in the earlier leg of the big operations. Ibrahim now holds a white tarp, a body bag. Why? Because his family members might not be as lucky and evade death as he did.
This bag that I'm holding is for my brother, his younger son, and both of their wives, to put them in these bags.
Ibrahim is not alone. There are hundreds more like him who have lost their families, their loved ones in the tragedy. Peering out from under a large slab of concrete and brick, Abdullalayim Mouraini gestures weakly at his rescuers. It has been more than 2 days since a massive earthquake brought his home in Hatay tumbling down upon him. Close beside him lies his wife, Ezra. The rescue has come too late for her. Amid gloom, there have also been moments that brought a ray of hope into the hearts and minds of thousands. A glimmer of a smile after a 10-day-old was rescued after spending nearly 100 hours under the debris. Or the viral video of a dog being given water by the emergency crew.
From why this earthquake turned this deadly to why is Syria not receiving the help it should? We have a lot more lined up for you in this episode of the West Asia Post, but first let's check the headlines.
Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and First Lady meet with earthquake survivors during a visit to a hospital in Aleppo. Iran announces earthquake-affected areas in Latakia, Aleppo, Hama and Idlib as disaster zones. Rescue operations continue in all regions. Frustrated Turks voice anger against the Erdogan government for not doing enough to help those under the rubble. Relay a message to the president saying, "Don't come here asking for votes."
Turkey is not a stranger to such powerful earthquakes. It is situated on tectonic plate boundaries. Over 7 quakes with more than 7.0 magnitude have hit the country in the past 25 years. So why did this one turn out more deadly and more powerful? We break down this in the coming report.
Thousands of people dead. Tens of thousands injured. Hundreds still trapped under the debris. Buildings turned into dust. Rescue teams racing against time, fading hopes of finding more people alive. The scale of devastation by the earthquake that struck Turkiye and Syria this week is huge. It is now the deadliest earthquake the world has seen in recent years. As deaths continue to mount, experts warn that the window of opportunity for rescue is closing rapidly. Despite massive international efforts, the scale of the devastation means many people are still waiting for help to arrive. Satellite images show the extent of damage in Turkish cities caused by the earthquake. Photographs released by Maxar Technologies show entire blocks of buildings collapsed and lying in ruin. Emergency white tents set up were seen standing amid destroyed buildings reduced to massive piles of debris. Aerial footage also showed huge cracks in a main road connecting Turkiye's Ghadi and Syria's Aleppo. Deep cracks penetrated the Turkish highways as fault following Monday's 7.8 magnitude tremor. A car flipped on its side was seen stuck in one of the cracks. Experts have said that the affected areas in Turkiye and Syria devastated by earthquakes may need years to recover from the destruction. A magnitude 7.8 quake, the deadliest in Turkiye since 1999, hit early on Monday, the 6th of February, and was followed by a second one just hours later. Under-Secretary for National Society Development and Operations Coordination, Xavier Catalanos Mosquera, said that longer-term help will also be needed and not just assistance in the search and rescue for survivors.
Well, in these situations, you know, the solidarity among governments is extremely high. And one of the things that need to be happening is that it's properly coordinated. And it has to be coordinated government to government to guarantee that there is no duplication, to guarantee that it's the right level of support that is needed, and at the same time that we don't see the operation right now only on the first hours where search and rescue is important, but also we see that this disaster is going to require many months, if not years, for the recovery. So
why was the Turkiye-Syria earthquake so bad? Seismologists say the magnitude 7.8 earthquake that struck Turkiye and Syria on Monday is likely to be one of the deadliest this decade, with a more than 100-kilometer rupture between the Anatolian and Arabian plates. The epicenter was about 26 kilometers east of the Turkish city of Nurdagi at a depth of about 18 kilometers on the East Anatolian fault. The quake radiated towards the northeast, bringing devastation to central Turkiye and Syria. In 1822, a 7-magnitude earthquake hit the region, killing an estimated 20,000 people. compared with the 6.2 earthquake that hit central Italy in 2016 and killed some 300 people. The Turkiye and Syria earthquake released 250 times as much energy. Why was it so severe? A number of factors contributed to making this earthquake so deadly. One of them is the time of day it occurred. With the quake hitting early in the morning, many people were still in their beds when it happened and are now trapped under the rubble of their homes. Additionally, with a cold and wet weather system moving through the region, poor conditions have made the rescue and recovery efforts on both sides of the border significantly more challenging. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
While much appreciated help has poured into Turkey, it is not the same for neighboring Syria. Even before Monday's disastrous earthquake, it is very hard to get help into Syria. Getting help into Syria is fraught by daunting political and logistical challenges. Now, these hurdles have only multiplied in the wake of the disaster, with the West imposing sanctions on Syria, making it dangerously slow to rescue people. Let's take a look. Huddled around campfire, struggling to stay warm after their lives and livelihoods ravaged by earthquakes. Tales of tragedies brought by tremors can be seen on their faces as the homeless ponder upon what next lies ahead of them. Once again in their lives, Syrians woke up to roars, thuds, and crumbling buildings. This time it was not a missile or a blast, but a natural disaster that piled on many human-made ones, multiplying their sufferings.
We were terrified and left our homes. Our home fell into ruins. So we came here, but the conditions remain difficult. We don't have enough blankets, and there are 20 children here.
And if the devastation was not too overwhelming already, there are restrictions imposed on the country, which makes getting aid through next to impossible.
We need heavy equipment, ambulances and firefighting vehicles. We don't have firefighting vehicles to put out fires. We don't have heavy equipment to conduct rescue operations.
Years of conflict have left Syria without much monetary resources. For most of last week, many countries refrained from sending much-needed machinery and humanitarian aid to the Syrian government. The reason? They fear violating US unilateral sanctions. Amid much condemnation from West Asian leaders, there has been relief on the sanctions front just on Thursday. The US Treasury Department announced that it is authorizing License 23, allowing aid to flow to Syria for the coming months. As per the General License 23, for the next 180 days, all transactions related to earthquake relief will be authorized, which in normal circumstances would be blocked under the Syrian sanctions regulations. Washington said that it will not let its sanctions come in the way of the much-needed life-savings tasks. While US easing came a bit late, key ally Russia has stepped up in the time of need since Monday. Russia, along with other countries like India, Iraq, and Algeria, have sent relief to Syria. Jordan and the UAE, which once backed Syria's opposition but have normalized ties with Assad in recent years, have also sent aid to Damascus. After the quake hit, Damascus sent an official request to the EU for help. And while the bloc was hand-on in support of Turkey, it offered only minimal assistance to Syria. The United Nations has said that Syria is in urgent need of help, further warning that a human tragedy should not be politicized.
Emergency response must not be politicized. We must instead focus on what is needed urgently to help men, women and children, those who we can still save, those whose lives are devastated by one of the most catastrophic earthquakes the region has seen about in a century.
On the other hand, there are reports of online monetary support links not working. Some social media users say that even GoFundMe pages have been taken down. This includes the major funding page where thousands of dollars had been donated, but it has now been closed down with a question about where the money went. A Syrian actor tweeted that GoFundMe closed a donation campaign for the victims after it collected about 15,000 euros in less than 12 hours due to its commitment to US sanctions. International power play and politics has left hundreds and thousands of Syrians facing death. There are people still trapped under the rubble. What they need are not biblical words and strings of hollow hope, but heavy-duty machinery to have them rescued from the rubble, and for that to happen. Countries calling themselves global leaders need to step up and look at the larger picture, because milking a human tragedy for politics cannot be normalized. West Asia Bureau, WION. World is one. A song for which Iranian singer Shervin Hajipur might be facing prison time for just won the Grammys. The song is named Baraye, or For in English. Why did it resonate with Iranians that much and was watched by millions? Let's take a look.
توی کوچه رقصیدن برای ترسیدن به وقت بوسیدن برای خواهرم.
For dancing in the streets, for being afraid of kissing, for my sister, your sister, our sisters. These are the lyrics of the song by Iran's Shervin Hajipur that won a Grammy. The song that became viral within hours of release evoked a sense of helplessness, solidarity, hope, and a strong yearning for change. For many Iranians, the song captures the widespread anger against the Iranian regime that has driven the massive anti-government protests in the country's recent history. The song ends with the widely known and chanted slogan synonymous with protests in Iran since September, Jin Jiyan Azadi, which translates to woman, life, freedom.
His best song for social change to Shervin Hajipur.
On Monday, US First Lady Jill Biden announced the Grammy winner by calling the song a powerful and poetic call for freedom and women's rights. She said the song became the anthem of Mahsa Amini protests, a powerful and poetic call for women's rights. Shervin was arrested, but this song continues to resonate around the world with its powerful theme of women, life and freedom. Baroe is a Farsi word which means because of. During the protests, Iranians tweeted their reasons for protesting using the hashtag Baroe. Hajipur wove those tweets into lyrics, naming his song after the hashtag. As Iranians shared the reasons they were protesting via tweets, Hajipur wove some of them into his verses. For embarrassment due to being penniless, for yearning for an ordinary life, for the child laborer and his dreams, for this dictatorial economy, for this polluted air, for this forced paradise, for jailed intellectuals, for all the empty slogans. A relatively less-known pop singer, Sherwin Hajipur, shot to prominence last year after writing this song. A song that immediately became the unofficial anthem for the protests that were gaining momentum across Iran. 25-year-old Hajipur won the Best Song for Social Change Award at the 2023 Grammy Awards. The pop singer was arrested just 2 days after the release of the song. He was then released on bail after some days, though he continues to face charges of propaganda against the regime and instigating violence. The pop singer has also reportedly been barred from leaving Iran. According to the Grammys website, the song was listened to by over 40 million people in less than 2 days following its September release. Iran has been rocked with intense women-led protests since September of 2022, when 22-year-old Mahsa Amini died in Iran's morality police's custody. Amini was detained for an alleged violation of Iran's hijab rules. Women are by law required to wear a hijab, which is also the Islamic head covering in Iran. During the protests, women have often taken off and torn their hijabs, burnt hijabs and cut their hair in public in defiance of the Iranian state. The government has dealt with the protests harshly, and at least 500 people have been killed by state security personnel. According to the United Nations, at least 14,000 people have been arrested so far. Iran said last week that it was set to offer limited pardons to some prisoners. The announcement, however, would reportedly not apply to anyone convicted on a range of serious charges, as rights groups say most demonstrators were. Rights activists believe that the move offered little hope of freedom to the vast majority of political prisoners. For the past 5 months, everywhere Iranians congregated, inside and outside the country, be it protests, funerals, celebrations, concerts or universities, and they sang the lyrics in unison. For the feeling of peace, for the sunrise after long dark nights, for the stress and insomnia pills, for man, motherland, prosperity, for the girl who wished she was born a boy, for woman, life, freedom. For freedom.
Bringing the show to an end with a story of hope from Iraq, where a woman horse rider is acing it at an endurance race. Let's go to Iraq.
Certainly, the role of women is important in society, and we are trying to change society's view of women. My participation is a representation of myself and all Iraqi women who love horse riding and other equestrian sports in all of Iraq.
That's all we have for you in this episode of the West Asia Post. I will be with you next week with a brand new lineup, bringing you always the most recent updates from the most volatile region in the world. Until then, keep on watching WION for exclusive ground reporting from West Asia. I am Ghadi signing off from Beirut. WION, World is One.